The Lord be with you. A reading from the Holy Gospel according to Luke. Jesus entered a village where a woman whose name was Martha welcomed him. She had a sister named Mary, who sat beside the Lord at his feet, listening to him speak. Martha, burdened with much serving, came to him and said, "Lord, do you not care that my sister has left me by myself to do the serving? Tell her to help me." The Lord said to her in reply, "Martha, Martha, you are anxious and worried about many things. There is need of only one thing. Mary has chosen the better part, and it will not be taken from her." The Gospel of the Lord.
Praise to you, Lord Jesus Christ.
I suspect many of us find this gospel a little confusing, in that I would imagine most of us identify with Martha more than Mary. We tend to be people who are hardworking. We tend to be people who take responsibility. Your teachers, your staff at school, parents. You're Marthas. I mean, you get the job done. You do it. And so we find it a little troubling that Jesus kind of scolds. It sounds like he's scolding her. He's not, but it sounds like he's scolding her for preparing. I mean, the meal isn't going to prepare itself. Somebody has to do it. And Martha comes to him and asks, to have his sister help, who's enjoying Jesus' presence. And Jesus says this thing to her, and I don't think he's putting her down. I don't think he's scolding her. I think he's trying to help her see what's going on. Because the reality is, we have to have within ourselves both a Martha and a Mary. All of us need those two components of our life. It goes with Jesus' teaching. Jesus' teaching never said, sit around and adore me. Jesus said, go out and serve others. Love has to be placed in action, not just in words, not just in prayer. Prayer and work must be continually united. And so he's reminding Martha that one thing is out of whack. Maybe it's out of whack for Mary too, but he doesn't confront that. But her balance isn't there. She's done these things. She's prepared this beautiful party and meal, understandably, out of love for Jesus and her friends. But somewhere along the way, she forgot why she did it. And instead of love, the emotion that creeps in is resentment. And she's feeling put out. She's feeling stressed. She's forgotten what motivates her actions. She's forgotten to look at Jesus. And she's forgotten that she's doing it because she loves him. And so she gives into resentment. And I think the key word here, and this is tradition in the church, the great rule of St. Benedict is always keeping those things in balance. Ora et labora. For us as Jesuits, it's contemplatives in action. That the faith, the prayer have to be united with the work. Now, we don't always do well at that. And generally, for most of us, what happens is the work takes over, and the prayer kind of slides away. And I think that's why Jesus is so strong with Martha, because that's usually what happens. The key sentence here is when he says, Martha, you're anxious. You're worried and anxious. Only one thing is needed. She's forgotten in all of her loving service. She's forgotten the one thing, which is she has Jesus in her house. He's right there in front of her. The man she clearly believes is the Messiah, the Son of God, the teacher. And Jesus is pointing out to her, all this stuff is great. I kind of wish he had said, oh, Martha, thanks for the great meal and all that, but you're anxious and worried about great. What he's trying to get her to say is, I'm right here, and you don't see me. Mary sees me. You need to kind of realize why you're here, why I'm here, and take the time to be close to me. Not just serve me, but to enjoy me. Enjoy my presence in your life. And I think that's words for all of us who are, in fact, contemplatives. We're all called to be contemplatives in action. We're all called to serve one another, to serve the mission of the church. But we can't ever lose our reason. Then it just becomes action with no meaning behind it. It has to be connected to the love of God, the great commandment, love of God and love of neighbor. And we need to focus on that. And perhaps this isolation, this horrible time we're going through, is a good time when we can notice, what have we been doing? What motivates our actions? Why do we do certain things? Is it just mechanical? What is our motivation for what we do with the work of our lives? And this gospel reminds us that it's got to stay focused, somehow rooted in our love of Jesus, our love of one another. Otherwise, it becomes resentment, becomes mechanical.